It was Christmas afternoon when Andrew Hudson walked through his front door and heard something impossible: his daughters laughing. Real laughter. The kind he thought died with their mother. He stood frozen in the hallway, terrified to move, because in 18 months he'd never heard that sound. Not once. Andrew Hudson was 45 years old, a tech billionaire, built everything from nothing, but none of it could save his family. 18 months ago, his wife Emma died in a car accident. Route 2. A drunk driver ran a red light. She was gone before the ambulance came. Left behind 3-year-old twin daughters Gabriella and Isabella, babies who couldn't understand where mommy went. Those little girls, shattered, went from sweet toddlers to tiny storms that no one could calm. They bit nannies, screamed until their voices broke, destroyed everything they touched. 8 professionals quit in 6 weeks. Some lasted 3 days. One didn't make it past breakfast. Andrew tried everything: therapists, child psychologists, specialists who promised they'd seen worse. Nothing worked. His house became a battlefield. No joy, no laughter, just 2 broken little girls and a father who didn't know how to reach them. Then 5 days ago, a woman appeared at his door. Jennifer Glover, 28 years old, applying as a housekeeper through an agency. No childcare credentials, no training, just quiet strength and eyes that looked like they'd seen grief up close. Andrew almost didn't hire her, but when you're drowning, you grab any hand reaching down. 1 week, he told her. That's all anyone gets. She nodded. 1 week. The twins attacked her the first day, tested her, pushed her, tried to break her like they'd broken everyone else. But Jennifer didn't run. She stayed. And today, Christmas afternoon, day 5. Andrew left work early. Something pulled him home. He couldn't explain it. When he opened his front door, the house felt different, warmer, quieter. Then he heard it. Voices, soft, coming from the living room. His heart started racing. He moved toward the sound, each step heavier than the last, because he was terrified of what he might find, terrified of hoping again. When he reached that living room doorway and looked inside, what he saw brought him to his knees. Before we begin, like this video, subscribe, and tell me where in the world you're watching from. I pray this story reminds you that even in the coldest season, love still finds a way to break through. 5 days earlier, Monday morning, Andrew woke up to the sound of glass breaking. He didn't move, just lay there staring at the ceiling, listening. A crash, then another, then Gabriella's voice, sharp and commanding even at 3 years old. Then Isabella screaming that high-pitched scream that used to make neighbors call the police. 6:45 in the morning. The war had already started. He should get up. He knew that. But his body felt like concrete. This used to be when Emma would slip into their room with coffee. She'd hum something while she poured it, kiss his forehead, make him smile before the day even began. He reached for her side of the bed, cold, empty. 18 months, and he still reached for her. Downstairs, something else shattered, louder this time. Andrew finally got up, got dressed, walked down the stairs like a man heading to his own execution. The kitchen looked like a bomb went off. Cereal scattered across the granite countertops, milk dripping onto the floor. Bowls abandoned wherever they'd been thrown, and sitting on the table, next to the keys someone left behind, was a folded piece of paper. He didn't need to read it. He already knew. "Mr. Hudson, I'm so sorry. I tried. I really did. But I can't do this anymore. Your daughters need more help than I can give them. Please don't contact me." Her name was Sarah, or maybe Susan. Andrew couldn't remember anymore. They all blurred together after a while. 8. That made 8. He opened the drawer beside the sink, the one that used to hold Emma's recipes, and placed the letter inside with the others. A drawer full of people who'd looked at his daughters and walked away. He couldn't even feel angry anymore, just tired. The kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. The twins were in the living room. Gabriella sat on the couch, arms crossed, watching him with eyes too old for her face. Emma's eyes. Isabella was pulling books off the shelf one by one, letting them hit the floor. "She left," Gabriella said. "Not a question." Andrew nodded. "Good." She yelled too much. "She yelled because you bit her, Gabriella." His daughter shrugged. No remorse, no guilt. Just cold acceptance that this was how things worked now. People came, people left, no one stayed. Andrew looked at them, really looked at them, Gabriella with her mother's face and a heart that had frozen shut. Isabella with his own stubbornness twisted into rage. Two tiny girls who'd learned that love meant loss, so they'd stopped letting anyone close enough to hurt them. His phone buzzed. Work, a meeting in an hour. Another day of pretending he had everything together while his home fell apart. He grabbed his briefcase, kissed both girls on the head even though Gabriella went stiff and Isabella flinched, and he walked out the door. That evening, when he came home, his assistant Marcus was waiting in the driveway. The look on his face made Andrew's stomach drop. "Sir," the agency called. Andrew's jaw tightened. "Let me guess. No one else will take the job." "Actually, they have someone, but she's different." Different. Code word for desperate. She's been working as a housekeeper for years. No formal childcare training. Then why are they sending her? Marcus hesitated, looked down at the folder in his hands. "She heard about your situation and specifically requested this position. Said she understands what your daughters are going through." Andrew almost laughed. Everyone thought they understood, until they met Gabriella and Isabella. "What's her name?" "Jennifer Glover." Marcus handed him the folder. Andrew opened it. Standard application, work history, cleaning houses, references from families she'd worked for. Nothing special. Nothing that explained why someone with zero childcare experience would volunteer for this. Then he saw the photo clipped to the front page, and something about her face stopped him cold. Her eyes. There was something in her eyes, something that looked like, "Sir," Marcus's voice pulled him back. "Should I schedule the interview?" Andrew stared at the photo a moment longer. Those eyes. He'd seen that look before, in his own mirror, every single morning, for 18 months. Grief, raw and fresh, like she'd lost someone recently too. "Yes," Andrew heard himself say. "Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. Marcus nodded and left. Andrew stood there in his driveway, holding that folder, staring at Jennifer Glover's face. Something wasn't adding up. Housekeepers didn't look like that, didn't have eyes that carried that much pain, didn't specifically request positions with traumatized children. Who was she? And why did looking at her photo make his chest tighten with something he couldn't name? Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock exactly. The doorbell rang and Andrew's stomach twisted. He'd barely slept. Kept thinking about that photo, those eyes, the way they looked, like they'd seen the same darkness he had. He opened the door. Jennifer Glover stood on his doorstep in a simple white blouse and dark pants, both pressed carefully but worn soft from years of use. She carried one small bag, just one, and a Bible that looked like it had been read so many times the cover was coming loose. But it was her face that stopped him. She wasn't smiling that fake, bright smile most people wore when they met him, wasn't trying to look confident or put together. She just looked steady, like she'd already made peace with whatever was about to happen. "Mr. Hudson," she said quietly. "Come in." But she didn't move yet. Just stood there looking up at his house. Her eyes moved across the windows, the door, the stone steps, taking it all in, really seeing it. Then she closed her eyes. Andrew watched, confused, as her lips started moving. No sound, just silent words. Her hand came up and rested over her heart. She was praying, right there, on his doorstep. In the cold December air, he didn't know what to do, didn't know where to look. After a long moment, Jennifer opened her eyes and looked at him, really looked, not at his house or his money or his reputation, at him. "I'm ready now," she said softly. She stepped inside. Andrew led her to his study, offered her a seat, started to give his usual speech about the twins, the job, what to expect. But Jennifer spoke first. "Mr. Hudson, can I ask you something before we begin?" He paused. "Sure. How did your wife die?" The question hit him like a fist. Most people avoided it, danced around it, pretended not to know. "Car accident," Andrew said, his voice flat. "Route 2. 18 months ago. The girls were barely 2. Jennifer's face went very still. Something flickered in her eyes, pain, recognition, something he couldn't name. "And you've been carrying this alone since then?" It wasn't a question. Andrew felt something crack in his chest. This woman he'd known for 30 seconds had just spoken the truth no one else dared to say. "I've tried everything," he heard himself admit. "Therapists, specialists, nannies with every credential you can imagine. Nothing works. My daughters are—" He stopped, Hated the words but needed to say them. They're breaking everything. 8 people have quit. Some lasted 3 days. I don't know what else to do. Jennifer was quiet for a moment. Then she leaned forward slightly. Can I be honest with you, Mr. Hudson? Please. I don't think your daughters are out of control. I think they're drowning. And drowning people fight the hardest against the hands trying to pull them up, because they don't trust anyone anymore. Andrew stared at her. 6 therapists hadn't been able to say what this housekeeper just did in one sentence. There's a difference between fixing and healing, Jennifer continued, her voice gentle. Fixing is about making things easier for us. Healing is about making things whole for them. And whole takes time. I can give you 1 week, Andrew said, to see if you can handle them. Jennifer smiled, but there was something sad in it. Something that looked like she knew a secret he didn't. I don't need a week to know if I can handle them, Mr. Hudson. I need a week to start earning their trust. Before Andrew could respond, a crash came from upstairs. Loud, deliberate. Then Isabella's scream, the one that meant someone was about to get hurt. Andrew closed his eyes. That's them. I know, Jennifer said quietly. She stood up, smoothed her blouse, picked up her Bible. Should we go meet them? You don't want to run first? She looked at him with those haunted eyes, the ones that had kept him awake all night. Mr. Hudson, she said softly, I didn't come here to run. I came here to stay. And something about the way she said it, like she wasn't just talking about the job, like she was talking about something bigger, something he couldn't see, yet made Andrew's heart start racing. Who was this woman? And why did it feel like she'd been waiting her whole life to walk through his door? They walked toward the noise together. Each step closer, the sounds got worse. Crashing, screaming, the kind of chaos that makes your chest tight. The playroom door was open. Andrew stopped at the threshold. He'd seen this before. 8 times, but it never got easier. The room looked like a war zone. Toys scattered everywhere, books torn apart, pages everywhere, curtains pulled down, a lamp knocked over, crayon marks on the walls spelling words he didn't want to read. And in the center of it all, his daughters. Gabriella stood in front, arms crossed, chin up, 3 years old but already a general. Isabella beside her, fists clenched, ready to fight. They'd done this before, knew exactly what they were doing, showing the new person what they were walking into, waiting for the shock, the fear, the moment when the adult's face changed and they realized they'd made a mistake coming here. But Jennifer didn't gasp, didn't step back, didn't look at Andrew for help. She just walked into that destroyed playroom slowly, looked at the torn books, the marker on the walls, the 2 small faces daring her to judge them. And then she smiled. Not a fake smile, not nervous, a real smile, warm, like she'd just walked into something beautiful instead of something broken. What are you smiling at? Gabriella demanded, suspicious. At you two, Jennifer said simply. We're not cute, Isabella snapped. We're horrible. Everyone says so. Jennifer tilted her head slightly. Then everyone must not be looking very closely. The twins exchanged glances. What kind of trick was this? Then Jennifer did something that stopped them both. She knelt down, got down on her knees on that messy floor so she was at their level. Eye to eye. She looked at Gabriella first. Really looked. Like she could see past the crossed arms to the scared girl underneath. Then at Isabella, past the anger. You are not too much, Jennifer said quietly. You are not too broken, and you are not unlovable. The words hung in the air. Gabriella's arms dropped slightly. You don't know us. Not yet, Jennifer agreed. But I'd like to. Isabella opened her mouth. Andrew recognized it, the pre-scream breath, the one that meant 6 hours of screaming was about to start. But before the sound could come out, Jennifer started humming. Low, gentle, an old melody, the kind that sounds like safety, like home. She stood up slowly, still humming, and began picking up toys, one at a time. No rush, no urgency, just steady movement, and that soft, unafraid sound. Isabella's mouth stayed open, but no scream came. The twins stared. Nobody had ever hummed before. Nobody had ever just started cleaning without yelling first. I think this room is messy, Jennifer said softly between hums, because your hearts are messy. And that's okay. Messy hearts just need time and patience to get clean again. She picked up a stuffed elephant, set it gently on the shelf. Isabella's favorite elephant. The one Emma used to read stories to. You knew our mama? Isabella asked suddenly, her voice small, different. Jennifer's hands stopped, a beat too long before she answered. I knew a lot about her, Jennifer said carefully. She sounded like an amazing person. Andrew's chest tightened, something in the way she said it. Not, I heard she was, but she sounded like Jennifer had actually heard Emma talk, like they'd spoken. But that was impossible. Before he could process it, Gabriella walked over to Jennifer, reached out with one small hand and touched the hem of her cardigan, testing, seeing if she was real. Jennifer looked down and smiled. Hi, sweetheart. Gabriella didn't answer, just held on, like Jennifer was an anchor in a storm, and Andrew stood there in the doorway watching his daughter, who hadn't let anyone touch her in 18 months, holding onto a stranger's sweater like her life depended on it. Who was Jennifer Glover? And how did she know anything about Emma? That afternoon, Andrew watched from the kitchen doorway. Jennifer sat on the floor with the twins, not forcing anything, just present. Gabriella had crawled into her lap without being asked. Isabella sat close, their shoulders touching. They weren't talking, just sitting together in the quiet. Then Jennifer started humming again, that same melody from earlier, soft, steady, and Andrew's blood went cold. That song, that was Emma's song, the one she hummed while making breakfast, the one she sang to the girls when they were babies, the one that died with her. How do you know that song? His voice came out sharper than he meant. Jennifer's humming stopped. She turned, and Andrew saw something flash across her face. Fear, guilt, something. It's just an old song, she said quickly. My grandmother used to sing it, but her eyes told a different story. She was lying. Lots of people know it, Jennifer added, her voice too casual now. The twins didn't seem to notice, but Andrew did. He noticed everything. Girls, why don't you go play in the other room for a bit? Andrew said, keeping his eyes on Jennifer. Gabriella looked up at him, confused. But we're being good. I know, baby. I just need to talk to Jennifer for a minute. Isabella stood up reluctantly. Gabriella followed. They left, but slowly, like they were afraid Jennifer might disappear if they looked away. When they were gone, Andrew stepped into the room. That song, he said quietly, that was my wife's song. She sang it every morning, every night before bed. How do you know it? Jennifer stood up slowly. Her hands were shaking. Mr. Hudson, don't lie to me again, please. She looked at him for a long moment. Something in her face was breaking. I told you the truth, she said softly. My grandmother did sing it, but that's not the only place I heard it. Andrew's heart was pounding now. Where else? Jennifer opened her mouth, closed it, looked away. I can't. I'm not ready to. Did you know, Emma? The question hung between them like smoke. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. She didn't answer, but her silence said everything. Oh my God, Andrew whispered. You knew her. Please, Jennifer's voice cracked. I came here to help your daughters. That's all that matters right now. That's not all that matters. Andrew's voice rose. You lied to me. You stood in my house and pretended you didn't know my wife when you what? How did you know her? I can't tell you yet. Why not? Because if I do, you'll send me away. And your daughters need me. The words hit Andrew like a punch. She was right. The twins had let her in. In 6 hours, Jennifer had done what 8 professionals couldn't do in 6 weeks. But she'd lied, and he had no idea what else she was hiding. 1 week, Andrew said, his voice cold now. You have 1 week, but when it's over, you're going to tell me everything. Do you understand? Jennifer nodded, tears streaming down her face. Yes, everything, Jennifer. Who you are, how you knew Emma, why you're really here. I will. I promise. Andrew turned to walk away, but her voice stopped him. Mr. Hudson? He looked back. Your wife, Jennifer whispered, her voice breaking. She talked about you all the time, about how much she loved you, about how lucky she felt. Andrew's throat closed. You're talking like you knew her well. Jennifer wiped her eyes. I did. Better than you think. Then why won't you tell me? Because I'm scared, she admitted. I'm scared you'll hate me when you know the truth. And before Andrew could respond, Gabriella appeared in the doorway. Jennifer? Her small voice was worried. Are you leaving? Jennifer knelt down immediately. No, sweetheart. I'm staying. Promise? I promise. I'm not going anywhere. Gabriella ran to her, wrapped her arms around Jennifer's neck. And Andrew watched this woman, this stranger, who somehow wasn't a stranger, hold his daughter like she'd been doing it her whole life, like she already knew exactly how tight Gabriella needed to be held to feel safe, like she'd learned it from someone who'd held these girls before. Who was Jennifer Glover? And what was she so afraid to tell him? Day 2. Andrew couldn't sleep again, kept replaying Jennifer's words. She talked about you all the time. Past tense. Like Jennifer had sat with Emma, had conversations with her, knew her. He got up at 5 in the morning. The house was dark and quiet. Then he heard movement downstairs. He walked down slowly, carefully, found Jennifer in the kitchen making breakfast. She had her back to him, humming that song again while she cut fruit. And Andrew watched, really watched. The way she opened the cabinet on the left where Emma kept the girls' plates. The way she cut strawberries into small pieces because Isabella choked once and Emma never forgot. The way she arranged the fruit in a circle on the plate because Gabriella only ate food that looked pretty. Small things, tiny details, things a housekeeper wouldn't know, things a stranger couldn't guess. You know how they like their breakfast, Andrew said from the doorway. Jennifer jumped, nearly dropped the knife, turned around, hand on her chest. Mr. Hudson, I didn't hear you. You cut the strawberries small. For Isabella. Because she chokes. Jennifer's face went pale. I just thought, and you put Gabriella's fruit in a circle. Because she won't eat it otherwise. Jennifer set down the knife. Her hands were shaking. How long did you know my wife, Jennifer? She didn't answer. Just stood there with tears building in her eyes. Because you don't just know things about her. You know things about my daughters. Things I never told you. Things no one would know unless... Andrew's voice cracked. Unless they'd been here before. Unless Emma told them. Please, Jennifer whispered. Not yet. I'm not ready. My daughters are upstairs sleeping peacefully for the first time in 18 months. And I don't even know who you really are. Jennifer wiped her eyes. I'm someone who wants to help them. That's not enough anymore. It has to be. For now. Andrew stepped closer. Were you Emma's friend? Jennifer's breath hitched. She looked at him with so much pain in her eyes it was hard to see. Yes, she finally whispered. I was her friend. How close? Very close. Then why lie? Why not tell me from the beginning? Jennifer's tears fell freely now. Because I was afraid you wouldn't let me stay if you knew. Knew what? She shook her head. I can't. Not yet. Please, Jennifer, I need more time, she said desperately. Your daughters are just starting to trust me. If I tell you everything now and you send me away, it will destroy them. They'll think I abandoned them too. Andrew knew she was right. Hated that she was right. 3 more days, he said. Then you tell me everything. And I mean everything. Jennifer nodded, unable to speak. Andrew turned to leave, but paused at the doorway. Emma's best friend was named Jennifer. She talked about her sometimes, said she was like a sister to her. He didn't look back, but he heard Jennifer's sharp intake of breath, heard the sound of her sliding down to the floor, heard her crying like someone who'd been holding it in for far too long. And Andrew knew. He knew who she was. What he didn't know yet was why she'd stayed away for 18 months, and why she'd finally come back now. Day 3. Wednesday afternoon. Andrew left for a board meeting at 1 o'clock. He shouldn't have gone. Something felt off, but he went anyway. At 2:15, his phone buzzed. Security alert. Someone had entered Emma's study. His heart stopped. That room had been locked for 18 months. He was the only one with a key. No one was supposed to go in there. Ever. He left the meeting without explanation. Drove home faster than he should have. Burst through the front door. The house was too quiet. He took the stairs 2 at a time. Emma's study door stood wide open, and from inside he heard crying, not the twins' usual screaming, something deeper, broken. Andrew reached the doorway and stopped breathing. The room was destroyed. Curtains ripped down, picture frames knocked over, glass shattered across the floor. Emma's jewelry box dumped out, pearls scattered everywhere. Her books, the leather-bound ones she'd collected since college, torn apart, pages ripped out. And in the middle of it all, Jennifer sat on the floor with both twins in her lap, all 3 of them crying. What happened? Andrew's voice came out harder than he meant. Jennifer looked up. Her face was wet with tears, but her eyes were calm. The twins asked me about their mama. I thought seeing her things might help them remember her. I was wrong. You let them destroy everything. Andrew felt his control cracking. These were the only... They didn't mean to destroy, Jennifer interrupted gently. They were looking for her. Gabriella thought if she searched hard enough through the drawers, maybe her mama would be hiding. Isabella knocked over the frames because she was angry that pictures can't hug back. Gabriella's tear-stained face turned to Andrew. I'm sorry, Daddy. I was looking for Mama. Jennifer said she wasn't here, but I thought maybe she was just really good at hiding. Her voice broke on the last word. Andrew's anger collapsed completely. His 3-year-old daughter thought her mother was playing hide-and-seek. For 18 months, he sank to the floor beside Jennifer, didn't care about his suit or the broken glass. Reached for Gabriella's hand. Baby girl, he said softly. Mama's not hiding. She's gone to heaven. She can't come back, no matter how much we want her to. But why? Isabella demanded, her fists clenched. We've been so good. We stopped crying at night so you could sleep. We tried really hard. Why won't she come back if we're good now? The words destroyed him. Andrew looked at Jennifer, helpless. Jennifer pulled both girls closer. Your mama didn't leave because you were bad. She didn't leave because she wanted to. Sometimes terrible accidents happen, and people we love die, and it's not fair, and it's not our fault. It just is. But loving people hurts when they leave, Gabriella whispered. Yes, Jennifer said, her voice breaking. It does. Loving people is the most beautiful and the most painful thing in the world. When we love someone and they die, it feels like part of us died too. Is that how you feel? Isabella studied Jennifer's face. About your person who went away? Andrew's head snapped toward Jennifer. What person? Jennifer nodded slowly, tears streaming. Yes, I lost 2 people I loved very much, my best friend and my little sister. They died in the same accident. And for a long time, I thought the hurt meant I should stop loving people. Because if love hurts this much, maybe it's not worth it. But it is worth it, Gabriella said quietly. Right? Jennifer's voice shook. Yes, sweetheart. Even though it hurts so much I sometimes can't breathe, I would still choose to love them, because the love is real. And nothing, not even death, can take that away. She looked at Andrew over the girls' heads, and he saw it. The same grief he'd been drowning in. The same impossible pain. You lost someone in the same accident that took Emma, Andrew said quietly. It wasn't a question. Jennifer nodded, unable to speak. Who? Andrew whispered. Jennifer closed her eyes. Fresh tears fell. My little sister, she said. She was 16. Emma was driving her home from dance rehearsal. The room tilted. Maya, Andrew breathed. Emma's student. The dancer. Jennifer's face crumpled. She was my whole world, and suddenly everything made sense. The grief in her eyes, the way she knew Emma's songs, why she'd stayed away, why she'd come back. You were there, Andrew said, his voice hollow. You were supposed to pick her up that day. Jennifer nodded, sobbing now. I was late. Emma offered to drive her, if I'd just been on time. Stop, Andrew said, but his voice wasn't angry anymore, just broken. They sat there on the floor of Emma's destroyed room, 4 people bound by the same tragedy. And for the first time in 18 months, Andrew wasn't alone in his grief. But one question remained. Why had Jennifer waited so long to come? They stayed on that floor for a long time. Andrew, Jennifer, and the twins, surrounded by broken glass and scattered pearls and the pieces of a life that ended too soon. Finally, Jennifer spoke softly. We can't fix everything, but we can gather up the pieces. We can keep the parts that still have love in them. Even the broken parts, Gabriella asked, especially the broken parts, because they're part of the story too. So they spent the next hour together, picking up pages and straightening frames, not trying to make everything perfect again, just making it whole enough to honor what had been. When they finally stood up, covered in dust and tears, Andrew looked at Jennifer differently. I'm sorry, he said quietly. About your sister, about all of it. Jennifer wiped her eyes. I'm sorry too, for everything you've lost. That evening, after the twins were in bed, Andrew found Jennifer sitting in the kitchen, staring at nothing, just sitting in the dark. He flipped on the light. She didn't look up. Can't sleep? He asked. She shook her head. Haven't slept well in 18 months. Andrew pulled out a chair, sat across from her. Me neither. They sat in silence for a while. Not the uncomfortable kind, the kind that happens between people who've survived the same storm. Why didn't you come sooner? Andrew finally asked. If you were Emma's best friend, why wait 18 months? Jennifer's voice was barely a whisper. Because I blamed myself. I was supposed to pick Maya up at 5, but I was working on my dissertation at BU Child Psychology. I lost track of time. At 5:15, Maya called, asked if Emma could drive her home. I said yes. She looked at Andrew with devastated eyes. If I'd just been on time, Emma would still be alive. Your daughters would still have their mother. Maya would still be dancing. I destroyed everything because I couldn't manage my time. Jennifer, I dropped out of school, she continued. Couldn't study childhood trauma when I'd caused it. Took cleaning jobs so I could disappear. Became invisible. Then, last month, at Maya's memorial service, Emma's sister mentioned you. Said your twin daughters were breaking nannies, that no one could help them. Her voice cracked. I knew those girls. Met them at Maya's recitals when Emma would bring them. They were so small, so happy, and I knew what I'd taken from them. So I came, because I owed it to Emma. I took her from her daughters, so the least I could do was try to save them. Andrew was quiet for a long moment. You came here out of guilt. I came here because I understand what your daughters feel better than anyone else could, Jennifer said fiercely. Yes, I feel guilty, but I also know exactly what it's like to lose everything and wonder if love is worth the risk anymore. And is it? Andrew asked. Worth the risk? Jennifer looked at him. Your daughters are teaching me it is. Every day, they choose to trust me a little more, even though everyone else has left. Even though loving someone means they might lose them again, they're braver than I am. Andrew felt something shift in his chest. You're brave too, coming here, facing this. I don't feel brave. I feel terrified. Of what? Of loving them too much, and then having to leave anyway. Of not being enough. Of failing them the way I failed Emma and Maya. Andrew reached across the table, took her hand. You didn't fail anyone. A drunk driver did. You made a reasonable decision. That's not negligence. That's just life being brutally unfair. Jennifer's tears fell harder. You're kinder than I deserve. I'm a father watching his daughters smile. For the first time in 18 months, Andrew said. Whatever guilt brought you here, what keeps you here is real. They need you. I need you. Jennifer looked up at him. Something passed between them. Understanding, connection, the beginning of something neither of them was ready to name yet. 2 more days, Andrew said softly. Then it's Christmas. Let's just focus on giving them one good holiday. One day where they remember what joy feels like. Jennifer nodded. One good day. They sat there in the quiet kitchen. 2 broken people trying to piece each other back together. And upstairs, Gabriella lay awake, her ear pressed against the heating vent that carried voices from below. She'd heard everything. Tomorrow, she'd tell Isabella. And together, they'd make sure Jennifer never left. Because maybe, just maybe, their mama had sent her after all. Day 5. Christmas afternoon. Andrew left the office at 3 o'clock. Couldn't concentrate. Kept thinking about Jennifer, about the twins, about how different the house felt now. He drove home through streets decorated with lights and wreaths, families walking together, children laughing, the world celebrating while he'd spent 18 months learning how to breathe through pain. When he pulled into his driveway, he sat in the car for a moment. Just sat there, afraid to hope, afraid to believe things could actually be different. Finally, he got out, walked to his front door, put his key in the lock. The moment he stepped inside, something felt different. The air was warmer, softer, like the house itself had exhaled after holding its breath for too long. Then he heard it. Laughter. Real laughter. Not the manic kind that came before destruction. Not fake or forced. Just pure, genuine joy. His daughters, laughing. Andrew stood frozen in the hallway. His briefcase slipped from his hand, hit the floor. He didn't pick it up, couldn't move, because he hadn't heard that sound, hadn't heard his daughters laugh like children who felt safe in 18 months. The sound was coming from the living room. He moved toward it slowly. Each step felt heavy, like walking through water. His heart was pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. When he reached the doorway, he stopped, and what he saw broke him completely. Gabriella and Isabella were sitting on the floor with Jennifer, all 3 of them surrounded by Emma's old Christmas decorations, the ones Andrew had packed away because looking at them hurt too much. Jennifer was holding up ornaments one by one, telling stories. And the twins were listening, actually listening, their faces soft, open, present. "This one," Jennifer said gently, holding a small glass angel. "Your mama got this the year you were born. She told me she hung it on the tree and prayed you'd always have angels watching over you." "Really?" Gabriella's voice was full of wonder, not pain. "Really," Jennifer promised. Isabella reached for a wooden star. "What about this one?" "That one your mama made herself. See the little paint marks? She said it wasn't perfect, but that's what made it special. Perfect things don't need love. Imperfect things do." Andrew's throat closed. Those were Emma's exact words, her philosophy about everything. Gabriella looked up and saw him standing there. "Daddy, you're home." She jumped up and ran to him. Actually ran, not away, toward. Andrew dropped to his knees and caught her, pulled her close, and then Isabella was there too, wrapping her small arms around his neck. "We're decorating," Isabella said excitedly. "Jennifer's telling us stories about Mama, good stories, the kind that make us happy instead of sad. She said, we can remember Mama without it hurting so much," Gabriella added. "We just have to remember the love instead of the leaving." Andrew looked over their heads at Jennifer. She was still sitting on the floor, holding that glass angel, tears streaming down her face. "How?" he asked her, his voice breaking. "How did you do this?" Jennifer wiped her eyes. "I just showed up. That's all scared children need, Mr. Hudson. Someone who keeps showing up. But 8 other people were trying to control them," Jennifer said softly. "I just tried to understand them." Andrew couldn't hold it together anymore. The tears came, hard and fast. 18 months of grief and exhaustion, and feeling like he was failing his daughters, all of it poured out. He pulled the twins closer, buried his face in their hair, and wept. "Are you sad, Daddy?" Gabriella asked carefully. "No, baby, I'm happy. So happy." "Sometimes happy crying and sad crying look the same," Isabella observed. "Jennifer taught us that." Of course she did. The twins wiggled out of his hug and went back to the decorations, started hanging ornaments on the small tree in the corner, the one Andrew had put up, but couldn't bring himself to decorate. Jennifer stood up slowly, came over to where Andrew still knelt on the floor. "Your wife would be so proud of them," she whispered. "They're being so brave." Andrew looked up at her. "They're not the only brave ones." Jennifer helped him to his feet. They stood there together, watching the twins decorate the tree. Gabriella showing Isabella where each ornament should go. Isabella actually listening, both of them talking about their mama without rage or denial. Just love. Pure, simple love. "I don't want you to leave," Andrew said quietly. Jennifer's breath caught. "What? Tomorrow is your last day. Your trial week ends. But I don't want you to go. Mr. Hudson. Andrew. Please. Just Andrew." "Andrew," she said carefully, "I don't want to overstep." "You're not overstepping. You're saving us." He turned to face her fully. "My daughters need you. I need you. Please stay." Jennifer's eyes filled with fresh tears. "Are you sure? Even knowing what you know? Even knowing I was there when Emma?" "Especially knowing that," Andrew interrupted, "because you understand them in a way no one else can. You've walked through the same fire. You know what it's like to lose everything." "I'm scared," Jennifer admitted. "Of what?" "Of loving them too much, and then something going wrong. Of not being enough." "Of—" "You are enough," Andrew said firmly. "You've always been enough. From the moment you walked through that door." Isabella's voice interrupted them. "Jennifer, come help us put the star on top." Jennifer looked at Andrew. He nodded. She walked over to the twins, lifted Isabella up so she could reach the highest branch. Gabriella stood on her tiptoes, helping guide the star into place. And when it was done, all 3 of them stepped back to look at their work. The tree wasn't perfect. Ornaments were clustered in some places, sparse in others. The star sat slightly crooked, but it was the most beautiful thing Andrew had seen in 18 months, because it was made with love. And love doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be real. Day 7, Christmas Eve. Andrew woke up early. The house was quiet, peaceful, a kind of quiet he'd forgotten existed. He got dressed and went downstairs, found Jennifer already in the kitchen, making coffee. She turned when she heard him. "Morning," she said softly. "Morning." He poured himself a cup. "Can't believe it's been a week already." Jennifer's smile was sad. Time moves different when you're healing. They stood there in comfortable silence. Then Andrew heard footsteps upstairs, small feet running, whispered voices. He looked at Jennifer, confused. "They're up early. They've been planning something," Jennifer said. "Won't tell me what." The twins appeared in the doorway, both fully dressed, both carrying their little princess suitcases. Andrew's heart stopped. "Girls, what are you doing?" Isabella set her suitcase down. "We packed. I can see that. Where are you going?" "Wherever Jennifer goes," Gabriella said simply. Her voice was calm, decided. Andrew knelt down. "What do you mean?" "Today is day 7, Isabella explained. "You said 1 week. If you make Jennifer leave, we're going with her." "We already decided," Gabriella added. "Jennifer stays, or we go." Andrew looked at these 2 3-year-old girls, babies who'd spent 18 months pushing everyone away, and now they were choosing someone, fighting for someone, ready to leave everything rather than lose her. It should have hurt, should have felt like rejection, but instead, Andrew felt something else, hope, because his daughters were healing, learning to love again, learning to trust, and that was the only thing that mattered. "Why, Jennifer?" Andrew asked gently. "Tell me what makes her different." Gabriella thought carefully. "She doesn't try to make us stop being sad. She's sad too, so she understands." "The other nannies told us to stop crying and be good," Isabella said. "Jennifer just sits with us until the crying stops by itself. And she knew Mama," Gabriella continued. "She tells us real stories that make Mama feel close instead of gone. She makes the house feel like home again," Isabella whispered. Andrew's eyes burned. He looked at Jennifer. She was crying silently, hand over her mouth. "You're right," Andrew said. "She does make it feel like home." He stood up, faced Jennifer directly. "You're fired," he said. Jennifer's face fell. The twins gasped. Gabriella grabbed Isabella's hand. "You're fired as the maid," Andrew continued, "because I'm offering you a different job. Full-time caregiver for Gabriella and Isabella. Real salary, health insurance, your own room in this house, and a real place in this family if you want it." The kitchen went silent. Then Jennifer started crying and laughing at the same time. "You scared me." "Say yes," Isabella demanded. "Jennifer, say yes." "Please say yes," Gabriella whispered. Jennifer dropped to her knees, opened her arms. Both girls ran to her, wrapped themselves around her like they'd never let go. "Yes," Jennifer said into their hair. "Yes, I'm staying. I'm not going anywhere." "Forever?" Gabriella asked. "Forever," Jennifer promised. Andrew watched them, his daughters and the woman who'd saved them, and he felt something he thought died with Emma. Peace, real peace. The kind that doesn't mean the pain is gone, just that they'd learned to carry it together. That afternoon, they went to Emma's grave together, all 4 of them. The twins brought flowers from the garden, purple and yellow, Emma's colors. Gabriella knelt beside the stone. "Hi, Mama. It's us. We're okay now. Jennifer's staying. She's teaching us how to remember you without it hurting so much. We still miss you," Isabella added, "but we're not scared anymore." Jennifer placed her own flowers, white roses. "I'm taking care of them, Em," she whispered, "just like I promised. They'll never forget you. I'll make sure of it." Andrew put his hand on Jennifer's shoulder. She leaned into him slightly, a small gesture, but it meant everything. "Thank you," he said to the headstone. "Thank you for sending her to us." That evening, they sat in the living room together, the crooked tree glowing softly, Christmas music playing quietly. The twins curled up on either side of Jennifer, telling her what they wanted Santa to bring. Andrew watched from his chair, and for the first time in 18 months, the house didn't feel like a tomb. It felt like a home. Jennifer looked over at him. Their eyes met, and something passed between them. Understanding, gratitude, the beginning of something neither of them was ready to name yet. But it was there, and it was real. Later, after the twins were asleep, Andrew found Jennifer standing by the window, looking out at the snow starting to fall. "Thank you," he said quietly. She turned. "For what?" "For coming, for staying, for loving them when no one else could." "I didn't do it alone," Jennifer said. "You showed up too, every single day, even when it was hard. That matters." Andrew stepped closer. "Emma told you once that if anything happened to her, she hoped I'd find love again, didn't she?" Jennifer's eyes widened. "How did you—" "Because I know my wife, and I know she would have wanted someone she trusted to watch over us." He paused. She sent you, didn't she? Not just for them, for me too. Jennifer's tears fell. She said you had too much heart to spend your life alone. She said love has a way of finding people who need it most when they least expect it. She was right, Andrew whispered. About everything. They stood there by the window, snow falling outside. Two people who'd loved the same woman, who'd lost everything, who'd somehow found each other in the wreckage, and learned that broken things really can be made whole. Not perfect, not the same as before, but whole in a new way. A way that honored what was lost while still choosing to live. Upstairs, Gabriella and Isabella slept peacefully for the first time in 18 months. No nightmares, no screaming, just rest. Because they finally understood something their father and Jennifer were still learning. Love doesn't end when someone dies. It just changes shape. It finds new hands to hold, new hearts to fill, new ways to show up. And sometimes when you've lost all hope, when you think the darkness will never end, love walks through your door, disguised as a stranger, and reminds you that you were never alone. You were just waiting for grace to find you exactly where you were, and teach you how to live again,